Welcome to Four Wheels in the Seat. My name is Alex Dalrymple, and on this channel I review a new car every week. To make sure you don't miss one, hit the subscribe button down below. Today I find myself back in the 2022 Kia Sorento, and I reviewed the plug-in hybrid version of this car about 6 months ago. If you want to see that review, just click up there. You can have a good look at the outside of the car. In this review, I'm in the regular hybrid version, and look, externally it looks pretty much the same. So I'm going to skip over the external details for this review and just concentrate on the interior and how this car drives. So one of the questions I get asked most, and indeed most car reviewers get asked this question a lot too, is what is the difference between a plug-in hybrid and a regular hybrid? Well, a plug-in hybrid is one that you can plug into the wall to charge. It has a much smaller battery than a regular EV, allowing it only to travel short distances on electric power, say 40 to 60 kilometers, the distance you might travel in a daily commute. Once that power runs out, it switches to petrol power. And you can also use the petrol engine to charge the electric battery. It's not the most efficient way of doing things, but it does work. A regular hybrid, like this car, has a much smaller battery, and it only uses the electric power when the car is traveling at low speed, like say you're parking or pulling up at the lights, or you're coasting along the freeway. In fact, we're coasting along the freeway right now, and it's not in electric power. So it depends on the conditions, really. But basically, it's the combination of petrol and electric power that propels this car along, and the car switches between the two as it needs to. You cannot plug this car into the wall. That is a key difference. Both hybrid systems, though, allow for much greater efficiency and use, on average, a lot less petrol. So, as I said, outwardly, there's not a lot to tell this car apart from its regular petrol-powered cousins. They both look pretty much the same. We've got that nice, aggressive Kia look up the front, which I really like. Side on, we've got 19-inch alloys. I wish they were 20s. And at the back, we've got a pretty small storage space when you've got all three rows of seating up, just 178 litres. Drop down that third row, that extends to about 600, and you can get a whopping 2,000 litres of space with both rows of rear seating down. Under the bonnet, we've got a 1.6 litre turbo petrol engine that is mated to an electric motor, and together they output 169 kilowatts of power and 350 newton meters of torque, which is actually pretty good. Power is driven to all four wheels via a 6-speed Sportstronic transmission. And urban fuel economy is a claimed 5.9 litres per 100 kilometres, but I've been getting in the low 8s, which is a fair bit more than that. I don't know if I'm just being overly aggressive, but I'm nowhere near 5.9. There you have it. So the interior of the Sorento Hybrid, exactly the same as the other Sorentos, which is to say it's actually quite busy. There's a lot going on in here, a lot of buttons. We've got a nice wide 12-inch screen here running the typical Kia software, which is one of the best mass market systems available. It has built-in navigation, digital radio, wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's a really nice, clean, sharp picture, and it's a pretty easy system to use. As I said, one of the best around. Climate controls underneath that with a lot of touch controls and piano black waiting to get fingerprints on it. A nice big center storage bin here with wireless phone charging and 3 USB-A ports. Heated and ventilated seating controls just next to that. I've really started to like gear shifters that are dials. Maybe I've just been using them a lot lately, but I'm finding them much easier to use now than I used to. It used to be just that sort of awkward turning it to put it in reverse and I was in the right gear and switching back to drive. Now I just don't even think about it. It's become really, really easy to use. We've got another dial here for your drive modes and terrain control. There are 3 drive modes: Smart, Sport and Eco. I like Smart, that seems to work pretty well for me. Sport obviously is less fuel efficient, and Eco does kind of take the edge off performance a little bit as it's trying to save petrol. Then we also have the terrain mode options on the same dial here of snow, mud and sand. A couple of good sized cup holders and a little storage compartment here, and a nice big center console bin with a removable handy tray. Head-up display on the windshield is nice and bright, but unfortunately No, doesn't work with polarized sunglasses. Digital instrument cluster, pretty standard Kia affair. There are 3 different display modes that are linked to the drive modes. You can either leave them on auto or you can switch to any of them manually if you like. There's actually a 4th mode, which is the one I use, which you have to select specifically, and it's a view of the horizon, and it actually changes depending on the time of day. So right now, actually, it looks exactly how it does outside, which is partly cloudy. We've got the city in the distance and nice green fields in front of us. More or less that's what I can see in front of me, which is actually pretty cool. You can change some of the displays on there a little bit. There's a bit of customization available. No full screen maps, unfortunately. And also there are cameras on both of the wing mirrors that switch on the display here whenever you turn the indicator on, which is a really, really good function to have. Steering wheel, normal Kia affair here, a little bit thin. I wish it was a bit thicker, but we've got a lot of buttons and switches and controls on here, which does mean a little bit of button mashing, especially when you're trying to turn the adaptive cruise control on. You'll need a bit of practice to be able to do that quickly and efficiently. The wing mirrors are nice and big, so we've got a nice view through there. And I really like these massive door handles here on the doors. They're so satisfying to pull open. We've got some nice quilted leather here on the side as well. More piano black here with the switch gear on the arms, and a nice little soft armrest here as well. The seats are Napa leather. They're quilted Napa leather, no less, with some nice white piping and white stitching on here. They feel really good. 14 ways of electric adjustment for the driver, only 10 for the front passenger, I'm afraid, but they are heated and ventilated, and yeah, that lumbar support feels really, really good. The cabin is really nice and bright with that beautiful panoramic sunroof. It does mean it gets a little bit warm on a sunny day, but the air conditioning cools things down pretty quickly. The Sorento really is one of the best mid-size SUVs in the market. It is just so nice to drive. It's had a local suspension tune for Australia, so it really handles our potholes and rough roads really, really well. And it just feels like a small car to drive. Like, it is so dynamic and nimble to dart in and out of traffic in, and it's an easy car to drive. It's a really pleasant place to be. The only slight quirk I have noticed with this car is when you stop at the lights and you put your foot down to take off the lights, it is usually in electric mode at that stage. There is a bit of hesitation. It's like it's taking a second to decide what to do. So you sort of plant your foot down and nothing happens, and then suddenly you lurch forward a little bit. It's a little bit disconcerting, and it doesn't happen every time. So it's a bit hard to tell exactly when it's going to happen. Like all Kias, this car is a bit of a chatty Cathy. It will alert you to every bus lane, school zone, any speed trap that might be ahead of you endlessly. Even if it's not in front of you, it will still alert you about it, and you can lower the volume and turn it off if you want. I think most drivers probably don't need that level of warning, but it is there if you want it. Plus, the collision detection can get a little overly sensitive, and the car will think that I am ploughing my way towards a stopped car when it's actually only a car that's been parked that's sort of half in front of me, but I'm going to be sort of turning to avoid it anyway. That can get a little bit annoying. I did have a situation in a Kia Stinger once where, for no apparent reason whatsoever, traveling at 60 k's an hour through a green light at an intersection, the brakes just suddenly slammed themselves on because it thought that there was some car in front of me, which there wasn't. It was a ghost car. So these systems are not infallible, and they can lead to some potentially dangerous situations. That's a rare occurrence though, and it's only happened to me once. Room for 7 passengers in the Kia Sorento with 3 rows of seating. Not a lot of room for anyone other than small children in that 3rd row on a short trip, but second row passengers will be pretty comfortable. So with this car's all-wheel drive capability, it's 350 Newton meters of torque and the 3 off-road drive modes of snow, mud and sand. The marketing for the Kia Sorento shows you that you can take this car just about anywhere short of up the side of a mountain. And you know, I haven't been able to take it off-road myself, but judging by its performance around town, I think the marketing's right. This feels really, really good. So out of the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, the Haval H6 Hybrid, and this, which one would I put at the top of my shopping list? Well, I think it would be the Kia Sorento. I just think it is the right combination of style, build quality, and good looks. It's a great car all around. I mean, the RAV4, no question about it, it is one of the best cars you can buy. It's not the most exciting to look at, and the infotainment, as I mentioned, is just horrid. The Haval H6 is fantastic value, unquestionably good value. Build quality is still a little hit and miss, and the ride is not great. So that leaves the Kia Sorento, which I think ticks just about every box. It's not the cheapest on the market, but it is really, really good.